Hello, everybody. Thank y'all for joining us for another virtual workshop. Today, we're talking about producing movies with Ty Johnston-Chavis. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for your time. Anybody that's tuning in, again, this is a Grinder Matter Foundation. We're a nonprofit 501c3. We're about having representation in front of and behind the camera, and we do that by having programs such as these virtual workshops. Also, we provide media services, and we also provide scholarships for people interested in becoming like a drone pilot. So we provide that. Also, anybody that's interested in getting involved behind the scenes in filmmaking, whenever we produce our film projects, there's opportunities for you to get involved. But first, let's dive into Ty Johnston's bio. Okay. All right. So Ty Johnston-Chavis is a distinguished figure in television and film production, renowned for her commitment to excellence and her advocacy for diversity and inclusion in the entertainment industry. As a founder of the Atlanta Pitch Summit, established in 2011, she provides a vital platform from content creators to pitch their ideas to major industry players, including Lifetime, MGM, and BET. A seasoned educator, Ty has imparted her knowledge at the American Intercontinental University and the Art Institutes. She's also a successful author. Her debut book, The Pitch, what is it, To Pitch or Not to Pitch, reached Amazon's top 100 bestsellers, while her upcoming release, Give Me the Green Light, serves as a guide for independent filmmakers. Ty Johnston-Chavis marked her directorial debut with the thrilling feature A Taste of Betrayal and recently celebrated the success of The Match. I think we have that key art here, which premiered on AMC Network's All Black in August of 2024. She also held the position for the number one film for 3 consecutive weeks. Ty's latest film, which is Style Me for Christmas. I think we got the key art for that one as well. Style Me for Christmas is a festive collaboration with Megamind Media that premiered in November of 2024 and highly anticipated 2025 sequel Skiing Queens Caribbean Heist is coming up. So, as a member of the Producers Guild of America and the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, Ty holds an MFA in digital filmmaking from Anaheim University and graduated from the UCLA Producers Film Program. She is married with 4 children and, along with her husband, owns several acclaimed restaurants in Atlanta, Georgia. You've been busy.
I've been busy. I've been busy. Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you for everything that you do. First, we're gonna on this show we go right into it. So, what is a movie producer? Tell us, what is a movie producer?
Well, of course, a movie producer, in the most simplest terms, is someone who is making the show. They are putting all the nuts and bullets together to make sure that that film project, that television show, is going to have everything that it needs to make the engine run. So, for me, as the type of producer that I am, I work as a creative producer. I also work as a line producer. I also work as a lead producer. So again, I go and I do everything from conceptualization to delivery. So it's not a time that I can't, have my hands in the creative aspect because I know what that's like. Or if I need to maintain budget or, be able to step in and handle contractual agreements, I can take care of that as well.
How did you get into this line of work? Because it seems there's a lot going on, right? So how did you get into this?
Well, you know what? Funny story. I got my first position as an assistant to a producer on a film back in Y2K, that era, right?
Yeah.
And so I auditioned for a film because I used to be in front of the camera. And I was the very first person that was at the audition that day. And I will never forget, it was like, a Saturday. I'm slating my name on the line. It's 10 a.m. And that crew that was there, which was the producer, the production coordinator, the director, they were new in town. So they were from, another area that wasn't their stomping grounds. They were shooting the movie in Miami, Florida. And so, I was able to answer a lot of their questions that morning, where to eat for lunch. I mean, they were just coming with the questions because they were just getting settled. So I had all the answers. And after I auditioned, they said, well, do you mind sitting back here with us? Because it seems like you were very informative. So, that was kind of like my introductory to the seat at the table. And that moved into a 6-week film production on a Lionsgate film.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And they saw the value. You knew the territory. You knew how to get around. You know what was what.
Yeah.
From that, when did you? So from working to that film to directing your first feature, how much time kind of passed there, and
Oh
what led you
man.
to directing your first feature?
Well, what's funny is that I just directed my first feature last year. But
Mm-hmm.
I've been directing the entire time.
Oh, I
For
see.
me, I have been already directing television series, reality. I was,
Mm-hmm.
very specialized in helping people create sizzles at one big point of time when that market was really big.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have a pilot,
Right.
so I was already directing, but I never took on the title for that because I just felt like my, you know, unique gifts were being able to collaborate with people, being able to get people to kind of move and operate. And so for me, that's what I really wanted to concentrate on.
Okay, got you. So now as a producer, what have you seen like in the marketplace? Like what's the business model? What makes sense for coming into the game in the industry now? What's a business model that works?
Well, there's several different models that work, but you got to look at what market are you really into, right? So
Hmm.
everybody right now, it seems like in our culture and the content that we're kind of specializing in, we're looking to get one on the board and looking to get paid. Right.
Right.
So
Hmm.
people are like, hey, I need to sell this project. What is going to work for me to be able to get a return on, what I have spent out? So you look at the mandates for networks and what are they looking to, grab onto as far as content. That's one way. You got a lot of thrillers that have just kind of glorified our market in the past 2 years. Horror definitely has
Yeah.
come back.
Hmm.
It seems like that suspense, horror, thriller, it's become like a merged genre. And if you got a little bit of, some of those inside of it, then it seems like it could be working for you in your favor. So that's a big market. I actually just did a course with someone the other day, and I was sharing with them, if you're producing for the market, it's going to be one thing. If you're producing to win awards, and move the culture and
Right.
have
Right.
that aspect, it's going to be another thing. Like that's going to be a message, story narrative. And so you
Mhm.
got to know what you're looking to do, because you might not always get the big win, but it might be in the story versus, it being in the marketplace as a big sell.
Got it. Is that like where the term one for the studio, one for me kind of thing goes? You do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and it's good to pull some of everything out of your arsenal, because you might just have something in there that you've written as a writer or as a producer. And, it's like, man, I knew this would work. Or, because you've seen it already kind of go to the market, or you've seen somebody, let's say, win an award for maybe that same type picture. But yeah, you gotta throw it all up.
what skill sets do you think are necessary for becoming a successful producer? And then also sometimes people may not realize they have that skill set because maybe they're like, hey, I'm the artsy person. I want to direct, or I might want to be in front of the camera. But like, what are some skills necessary to be a successful producer?
Definitely leadership, I would say, would be the first one. You got to be able to um, make sure that people are taken care of, and you have to show that presence of what that looks like. And you got to be able to have, some sort of patience within the business of having leadership and knowing how to talk to people. So communication is big, leadership is big. You definitely want to make sure that you have the skills of not folding and not having, so much pressure on you that you can't deliver information, because you have to do a lot of different work inside of producing, and you got to work with different teams. So you got to be able to handle all of that. Let me see what else. You got to have a passion for storytelling, a passion for storytelling, and know what that looks like to all different levels as a producer. You gotta, for me, I have my ear to the content creators, and then I have my ear to the buyers, because and I'm kind of like in the middle. So it's knowing what works, what doesn't work. But again, the passion could sometimes really, get people to give in or do more. And creativity is always, creativity and talent. I feel like you can find that, within a lot of stories now. You can find that within people. I mean, there's so many people that are talented, but you got to be able to work your talent.
What in the marketplace, are you like going to markets, or is this like a climate where it's movies are being sold to directly to the networks for the American market? Are there opportunities internationally? Or yeah, can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So, I've built a Rolodex of, relationships of 20 plus years.
Hmm.
So many people that are working in this industry that I met 20 years ago, they're still in it. I might know maybe just a small handful are no longer in the business. So as you keep working your relationship, that's another thing about being a producer. You got to be able to, just take care of your relationships all the way. So that's another one of the big highlighters of it. Um, and going to the market is really going to people who you want to work with or you want to do business with, and those people that you have met over a course of time. So don't negate that that production assistant at one point, because that person may soon be your boss, or that person may possibly end up being an executive or a director that you have to work with. And you just really need to pay attention to your surroundings and what's going on. So going to the market means tapping back into your relationships. That's really what it is. You have a lot of different festivals that you can tap into, of course. You have a lot of different summits, of course, that you can tap into. AFM is one of them. The Atlanta Pitch Summit is always another. You have networking that you can just do simply on your own. And that might be, amongst the different, film festival circuits. It could be through collegiate. There's always symposiums and everything that is always taking place, whether if you're a part of the organization or you're not. And you just have to really get your heels to the concrete at this point.
Speaking of which, talk about your summit a little bit and what entails there, and like what careers have you seen kind of flourish out of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the Atlanta Pitch Summit was born in 2011. And so that took place in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's where content creators meet distributors. So it was more like speed dating with a script in your hand. So any and everybody that has a great idea for a television show or a movie, would come to the Atlanta Pitch Summit, and they would, have all of the components there of the education base. So you would learn how to pitch, learn how to package, and then turn around the next day and have the seat at the table one-on-one with, a Will Packer or a James DeBose or a Andy Velkoff. I mean, the list would just go on. And the successes that have come from the summit over the course of years of its conception was the stories are just, it's too many. right? That I didn't even keep up. But I can tell you this, that the writers would meet producers, producers would meet executives, executives would do deals with other executives, first time getting a chance to meet each other. It was like, hey, I didn't know you did this project. Or you spotlight somebody because you see them in the room and you're like, hey, that is really him or her. So we've done everything from an intimate setting to a widespread setting, just as big as when people come and they're auditioning for Shark Tank. So we have actually seen it all.
When is the next Pitch Fest?
I know, that's so crazy because, the last time we had it was in 22, actually. So it's been 3 years. The reason why we didn't have it the past 2 years is because we had a strike that took place. We had 3 strikes.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we had 3 strikes. And then we, of course, this past year, we didn't do it in 24, is even after the strikes were lifted and they were gone, production companies didn't know what they were doing. Buyers, as far as streamers, networks and studios, nobody wanted to spend money. They were trying to figure out how were they going to regroup. There was a lot of merging that took place, a lot of layoffs that happened. Of course, we know the story with, one of our partners with Paramount. So there was over 1,000 people that were laid off. So there had been so many changes to happen, and it shook the market. And it shook a lot of industry players to have to go and figure out what they were going to do, for income. And I really believe it just turned into a great opportunity for independent filmmakers. That's how I see it. I started calling it indie time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, during that time when everybody was striking, that the projects I worked on were all independent. Speaking of the industry, what changes have you seen since you started to where we are now, and what do you project as the future?
I've seen it all, coming from, like I said, the late 90s of, being on camera and then working my way into behind the camera as a producer. I got a chance to see the transformation and even what it looked like from Trans World. And that's when we were pressing up DVDs. We made sure that the key art was folded and it went into the slides. Everything from Best Buy, FYE, Sam Goody, making sure your end caps look great. Marketing was different back then. I'm taking you back, right?
Man, I miss being able to have some tangible product.
Yes. Yep. That tangible product, and receiving the shipments. I just think that it allowed for people to be more in touch. Even back then, I was pitching and didn't even know I was pitching, and I was getting all of the content coming back to me. It was like no unsolicited, and I was like, "Hey, what the heck are they talking about?" I'm going up there and I'm gonna knock on the door. So.
Right.
I've seen it all, into now the reality, when reality came into the fold, and that was a huge market then, and it took over and it left scripted in the dust. And that was another thing of getting a chance to see how the door just kind of revolves, and as they say, sometimes Hollywood may repeat itself. We're in Southern Hollywood, or we're in Black Hollywood, or we're just in, content gear, if you want to say. So we're always seeing these different layers and modes transpire within the market. So I've had a chance to see it all. I know the other part of your question, I believe, was repeat that for me.
Yeah. So where are we at today, in the film industry? And then where do you project that we're going in the future? Because at one point in time, everybody wanted to go to the theater and exhibit and things like that. Now it feels like direct to stream is kind of like what direct to home video used to be. Like you going straight to Blockbuster, you skip the theaters and you kind of go straight to that. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about what today looks like, and then what do you think the future is going to be?
Yeah. So what today looks like, I just had this conversation with someone last night, and they were trying to understand, a little bit of somewhat of the conversation that we're having right now. And people, as far as independent filmmakers, we are now the trusted source. We have the content. There are not that many 100 million, you know, dollar films that are being created. I will like to say that anything under, I think it's 20 mil is still considered a low budget, right? So, I mean, hell, right now, I think a lot of people are just low budgeting. So
Okay.
it's okay.
Okay.
But, I'm seeing filmmakers have $50,000, and I can see what they're able to do with that amount of money and use their creativity, use their resources, and put together a picture that might look like it's 500,000. And then I've seen 500,000 look like it could be 5 million based on the the technology, based on your resources, based on are you using effects, I'm a VFX, are you using um everything that you need to have to make sure that this picture is going to be dynamic. So, I'm watching the creativity, and I really believe that it's based on not one person telling the story, but everybody doing what they can and not having this marriage and this emotional attachment to it, because you sometimes fail the project when you're so emotionally attached, and then you can't allow for the project to really live and do what it needs to do. That's based on creativity with the storyline. That's based on resources. The list can go on. So the other part of that, where I think that we're amazing of where we are right now and what we could do with the word free, FREE, because that's just being creative. You can get your
Right.
buddies together and go make a free movie. You can go, I
Absolutely.
mean, everybody owns gear now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
own gear, and you're
Hmm.
owning some of the best gear. So there's people that have Alexa. It's like, okay, why let it sit in the garage or in its package? Go let it have some legs. You know what I'm saying? Get some people together, go do a Blair Witch project. It don't have to be to that effect, but go make a movie, and what you're living off of your day to day, put some of those dollars into some of those other resources that you have to still make the production value of the film. Kill the Starbucks for a month. You know what I'm saying? That could turn into $1,000 bill. For some people.
Absolutely. Yeah, for
I had
sure.
this one lady tell me that she spends $1,600 a month at Starbucks, and you're proud of that. You need to get,
Whoa.
yeah, you really need to be a little bit more disciplined.
Yeah. God.
So
Okay.
look, if you had a crew of 15 people, let's just say a small man crew, you have 15 people to put in $1,500. That's 22.5. That's $2,200. Blair Witch was done for 25 and it made 100 million. So you can't tell me that, and that was on its first go round, right? So
Right.
it is 100 million plus now, but you have a paranormal activity type film that happens all the time. Think about your locations. Think about how you can make this film dazzle without having to just be all over the place. So one location films have come back, right? And this was big back in 2010. One
Hmm.
location films. Look at the
Right.
movie Buried. I don't know
Hmm.
if you ever
Yeah.
got a
Oh,
chance
yeah,
to see
that's
Buried.
right. That's right.
I mean, come
Absolutely.
on. We were on our edge. We never left the freaking coffin. We
Yeah.
were on the edge the whole time. The man
Yeah.
had a cell phone. He had a lighter, and that was it. And he had sweat beads coming from him the whole entire
Yeah.
time. And we
Yes.
were into it. We fell
Hmm.
into the coffin. So just
It's true.
think about what you can do with story.
Okay.
And then where we're headed,
Hmm.
um, we're headed in, into a space that we haven't really been before, and we are tapping back in and retouching the surfaces of some places as well, right? So the repeat cycle is always going to be, fabulous, right? The repeat cycle. Let's just do this again, right? So Hollywood, we've seen the repeat.
Yeah.
As far as stories, just characters, we've seen them repeat, right? Look at the hit show right now on Amazon, which is Cross. All right.
Yeah.
That comes from a character. The book was out years ago. I mean, we even see Tyler Perry took a stab at that character,
That's
playing
right.
that role years ago back in 2012. He was in front of the camera playing Alex Cross. So, thank you, Ashanti. So, you look at that and you're saying to yourself, it's always going to be a repeat. Then we are headed into AI, whether people like it or not. It's like technology is on the cusp, and it's something that we have to just embrace. It's no different than the self-checkout lines, right? People was upset. You mean to tell me I got to take my groceries and slide it across this here, and then I got to bag it myself? Right now,
What's the point?
self-checkout, what's the point? Right now, the self-checkout line is the longest line. Everybody like, man, let me speed. Let me get here. Y'all hurry up and do your thing. I'm not going in aisle one, So, and the same thing with the banks. You mean to tell me I got to go to this kiosk now instead of going to the teller? I could go to the kiosk 24 hours to make my deposits, or you can do it mobilely on your phone.
Yeah, true. Right? Absolutely.
There you go.
Technology is trip. I went to a physical location in a bank, went in there, and it was just all digital. It was just like it was like these little cubicles. There was no people there. And then you step into a room.
Security in the digitals. Right.
I was like, what is going on? You jump into the room and then it's somebody from California and I'm in Texas or whatever. And I was like, this is messed up. This ain't right.
I know.
Yeah. So in the future, so you're saying like things are cyclical and just kind of ride the wave of that. Speaking of which, one of your most recent films was a holiday film. Yes. Can you talk about that a little bit? I'm gonna add that. Style Me for Christmas. Kind of use it as a case study. Walk us through this, how this became a movie.
Style Me for Christmas is it's one of those films that is for everybody. It's the family to watch. It's for grandma to enjoy. It's for auntie and them. Uncle Willis, he don't mind watching it because he gonna get him some laughs. The kids can watch it. It's just fun and festive. This project here was a project that came to me the end of January. It kind of fell in my lap from Tressa Smallwood with Megamind. And right after I produced and directed A Taste of Betrayal, she says, hey, listen, I want to go straight, into this holiday film. And could you do it next month? I'm like, wait a minute, it's January. You want me to do the whole entire film next month in February? I was like, okay. I mean, I was all geared up to do it. I don't know how I was going to make it happen. But I realized that I needed more than just 1 month. But Raven Goodwin is a friend of mine. So I would see her all the time in the carpool line, like very organic. Our kids went to school together. And, she and I, we would always, chit chat in the mornings, sweatpants, bonnet on, all that good stuff. And it was just one of those that we just got to talking. And I said, hey, there's a script that I think that would work really well for you. And she read it. She loved it. And I just kind of kept it right there. With Pretty V, I ended up approaching Pretty V because, of course, it needed a best friend, a bestie. And I wanted to work with Pretty V already on another project, and time-wise, that was not falling through. So I said, hey, I got one that I think is going to work well. And I have a date in mind. Now we kind of pushed it to December of 23. And she says, well, let me read it. She read it and she loved it. She says, oh, she said, well, who are you thinking about to be my bestie? And I said, Raven Goodwin. She said, really? Oh my God, I'm a big fan of hers. And I'm like, really? Okay. I'm like, this is getting good. So then I ended up having this long kind of phase of a break because, yes, the strike took place. And then when the strike happened, it just seems like it slowed a lot of the agents down of, whether if they were going to say yes, whether they were going to say no. But Raven's agent and Pretty B's agent, everybody was just still in contact, and they were realizing, hey, at some point, we don't know if this strike is, going to play out yay or nay, but we really want to do this project. Well, I'll give you another token is that sometimes we're just kind of scared to move forward and do the things that we need to do. There were a lot of people that, they excluded themselves for doing any work during the strike because they were reluctant and did not want to fill out the waiver form to get a waiver from SAG, right? This was during the SAG strike now.
Right.
That, for you to be able to have your production up and running, okay? All you had to do was just fill out some paperwork. That was it. I was one of those people who filled out the paperwork. And so after I filled it out, I mean, I'd be damned. Like in 2 weeks, they were like, here's the waiver. And I'm like, what? But I heard
that simple, just some paperwork, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I heard all these horror stories like, oh my God, you can't get the waiver. It's so hard. And I'm just like, but a lot of actors want the waiver so they can feel like they're not going against the grain. So they also can feel like, they're abiding by, some sort of regulatory and rules. And they're just not, saying, hey, I refuse to, hands down, I'm going to do it anyway. Well, I signed up, I did all the paperwork, got the waiver. And then right after I got the waiver, the strike lifted. So it was like, you were kind of, everybody was, cheering for that anyway. So people felt better. But then, Mario, I ended up meeting Mario through a longtime friend of mine. She's the EVP of Epic Records. And she and we went to a Mario and Neil concert. And she says, hey, I'm going to go backstage. She was like, I'm going to go check on Mario. Why don't you come with me? And that's, our normal routine. And I was like, okay, cool. I had never met him. And he was already on our pitch deck because I asked Raven, who does she see as, her Teddy, right? And she had a list of names. And so when she told me, I was like, okay, we got this wish list of 5 guys, and just so happened Mario was one of them. So when I met him backstage, I took a picture with him, and then, I took a picture and I said, you know what? You're on one of my pitch decks. I was like, for a Christmas film. I was like, you would be really good as the starring, lead guy for that. He was like, really? He was like, man, we always love a good Christmas film. He was like, Tracy, make sure she get Andy's number, and, doing all this finger pointing. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Right. And then after that, it just started falling in place, but I didn't meet him until October, and then did all the deal, put that together in November. And then the top of December of 23, we started shooting.
Wow. Always be closing. So, all right. So from packaging it, what does this look like? Because some people may not know how an original movie, how it gets made, and like what's the business behind that. Can you kind of quickly jump on some points on how that's made and what from a business standpoint, what happens there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely, we already have the relationship there with BET. And so, but it still has to get approved. It's, BET still, or any buyer or streamer, they're still going to have to sell it to their audience. So if you do have a relationship there, you want to kind of just share with them what's going on so they can do like this soft pre-approval, right? They're already pre-approving the script. They're already looking at the talent that you're looking to acquire. They're saying, yeah, Raven would be good. Mario would be good. Pretty V would be good. Even if it was someone else and not those three, they have already kind of, still selected that these are sellable talent. So the talent is always going to be a big deal, whether if you have a relationship with the buyer or not. Think about your talent. Another thing to think about walking you through the process is a director. All right. Sometimes you get a director that, has never directed and you're just banking on them. You're really going to be hopeful that they're going to come out swinging and everything is going to look good, but they might be kind of scrutinized before that could even happen. Right. So if you have a director that you can work with, if you have a director that you want to work with and they might not be, already introduced to the market, sometimes that could be a problem, right? It could be a problem for talent because they want to know who is it that they're working with, right? And what have they done? And they want to see a director's reel. So you have to take all of that into consideration. So a lot of times you'll also have these kind of little preliminary meet and greets, like, prior to, and that might be the talent getting a chance to do a Zoom with the director. And, it's still, again, that soft approval. So just remember, director times talent equals, your market value, this big estimated market value for your project. And then you also want to have your paperwork together. This was a union project. And so what does that mean? This was a SAG signatory project. So you had to fill out, all of your necessary paperwork, which is your SAG application for you to be able to contract SAG actors. Then you have to abide by the SAG rules. Okay. And then you need to also make sure that you have an experienced producer or producers team, because they will have paperwork on a daily that they have to submit to SAG. All right. You'll also have a SAG rep to come out to your set to, put eyes on the set. They're going to be the spy. They're going to ask questions. They want to make sure that, their workers or let's say their members are being well taken care of. All right. So having all your paperwork in order, if you can't afford an attorney, do your best to get some really good, knowledgeable, experienced team members, producing wise, that are able to assist and to help you. So your biggest key on this is paperwork.
Wow. Yeah.
Everything that you do, because that's going to be your chain of title of what you're going to have to submit as a part of your deliverables to any buyer, any network, any streamer. It doesn't matter. You have some streamers that, that's not really the A game for them. You don't have to worry about clearances and so forth. And we know which ones those are. And that doesn't mean it's wrong, but there's other, buyers that you are going to have to pay close attention to. So that means you need, if you're here now and you want to be here, start here with doing your paperwork.
How does, with PGA, as a producer, how does that work with all the paperwork? And was this a project where you had the acronym, the PGA, along with it? Can you talk a little bit about that to people that do not understand what that means?
Yes, sure. This, the PGA, we are we're not a formal union just yet, right? We have the buzz as if we are a union, but we are not a union just yet. We don't pay into our pension just yet, PGA is still, fairly new, and they are working on that, and they're doing a great job with, us as members. But it kind of operates overall as if we are a union, because there are things that the PGA will call out if you're a member and they don't like. You can be dismissed, but you're in this group of members that are succeeding, and they had to be approved to be a part of this, this organization, right? It's an association, so it's Producers Guild of America. So to be able to use the mark, which is your PGA, which you see that a lot, right? You see P.G.A. You see that on a lot of films, and you're like, what is that? And then you see C.S.A. right? So you see that too, right? So yes, they are all a part of, the association plus unions. The CSA is for, the Cast Society of America. And then, of course, PGA, Producers Guild of America. But you have to apply to use that mark, and not everybody does it. So, like, say, for instance, it has to be applied within a certain amount of time from when the project is in post-production and from when the project is going to be delivered to the market. And so you have to just nail that on. It could be going to a film festival, because you go to the film festivals and you see a lot of them. You're like, oh, wow, okay, that's pretty neat. So, you have some producers, filmmakers that, a lot of their material just really goes through the film festival circuit. It's not even, for purchase anywhere. They're not on, Netflix. It might be more running on IMDb, on their streaming channel, or Sundance channel, right? So it just all depends, but you do have to apply to use it. It is a prestigious, like, type of mark to use. I mean, you feel very proud to be amongst, these members. And, like, I'm going to a PGA function on this Wednesday here in Atlanta, Georgia. So, it's a members only, and it's all, exclusive. So there's a lot of perks of being a part of it. They have great information and resources that they're always sharing. It's not just, a newsletter type of organization. They have a big PGA conference every summer on Sony's lot in California. And, with, great panels, and, you'll have some of everybody just to come out just to get information.
Good stuff. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand, like, how much paperwork kind of goes and that's involved with this, because you're, creating IP, and all of everything that's involved. You need releases for everything, so people just don't want to get sued, right?
They don't want to get sued. Yeah.
What? So this took what? Like, this was from your pitch to Mario to it shooting. That was like just a couple months, wasn't it?
We shot the film in 14 days. So it took us. Yeah, we shot the film in 14 days. We wrapped on Christmas Eve morning, like at 4 a.m. Everybody hated to say goodbye. It was just, one of those. It was a great crew, a great cast. It felt like family. And then plus we shot it during the season, which made it even more memorable, because it was really Christmas lights out. These films are
production
not
value.
Shot. Yeah, production value, of course, right? But these films aren't shot during the season. Like, a lot of holiday films are shot in the spring. You're looking at, all of the trees bloomed and everything. You're like, wait a minute, where the heck are they? So this
That's
just
pretty
made
cool.
it a bit sweeter. Yeah.
Absolutely. And since it's like a Christmas film, is that going to be one of the films, like, every season that's going to kind of pop up with all the other films? Because you see them, like, kind of come up. Same thing like with Halloween and the other seasons. Like, when it comes around, like, you see certain films come and then they go. It's like the season. This going to be one of those films that's like that?
I think so. I feel that Style Me for Christmas is one of those that, is it's a feel good, family film. Like, it's never gonna go away. Like, I think people are just now starting to hang the Christmas Story up, you know. Yeah, I mean, and look
Yeah,
how
right,
old that
right.
film is. Like, you might still take a peek at it, but I mean, hell, it had a good 40-year run, right? At least.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah.
but Style Me, I feel that Style Me still has some legs to it. I feel that, it's a franchisable type Christmas film. I feel that the writers are not done. They are first time writers, getting their work, going into production, and they're excited about having the opportunity to do more with Style Me. So you've seen franchise type films before. And so I think this one has the legs to do so.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk about quickly because we're kind of coming upon the hour, but the film The Match. How did that differ from the previous film and how it got made and like what was success for this film to you?
Yeah. So, the match was also really special. I have the opportunity to work with a lot of great people. And so the writer director for this film is Cass Seegers. And, she's been in the industry for about 20 years as well. And she says, "Hey, listen, I got this great film, take this ride with me." And that's how the conversation starts, that you believe that you have something. We're the type of filmmakers that we're going to go and we're going to raise the funds and we're going to sell the film. So we go through an acquisition process. If the film is not already a part of a pre-buy sensation, if you want to say. So we had the script. She says, "I have two characters in mind." She says, "I've already talked to the talent. They're available. I just need to find the money." So I went out there, pitched a project, to a couple of investors, got a bite. We end up getting all the funds for the project. And then, now you come down and you deal with locations. And sometimes we don't always, as a producer, sometimes we'll do all of the legwork first and then we'll pass it on, like, after we've created that foundation. So I'll just say this to you: if I have the resources, I'm going to start working on the locations, and then if the budget is there, I'll make sure to give everything and pass it along to the locations manager. All right. So in this case, we didn't need a locations manager because my insurance agent has a 40-acre compound, which has his home, he and his family, their pool house, their lake, their pasture. They have a farm with livestock. I mean, when I tell you, the list goes on. So we needed to have a location that was solid for everything that the director envisioned. And so when we went to go and look at his compound, it was just a director's dream because everything was there. So when we paid our locations fee, that sent him and his family off to Alabama for a 2-week vacation. And
Nice.
we stayed at their property for 12 days, and we made a movie, and it was
Wow.
like kick
Wow.
ass.
That's dope. So you find investors, the movie gets shot, edited. Um, how do you find deliver, the distributor, in this case, or is
Sure.
that locked in beforehand?
Sometimes it can be. For this one, we didn't have a distributor. Okay, so for this one, we didn't have a distributor, which it became all black, and then it became an all black original film, which is awesome. So, one of the sweet spots for filmmakers that they don't realize is sometimes they feel like they have to have the whole entire film like bells and whistles, and then you start showing it to people. That is not the case. We'll show our film or our dailies raw. Okay. So
Oh wow.
we started sending the dailies to different execs. We was like, screw it. Listen, and we're coming up on a strike. We're like, oh no. So when we finished this movie, it was literally like on the first day, pretty much that the strike started. So we shot it the summer of June, the end of June, and the top of July of 23. And so this was 23. Oh my God. And we're already in 25, Regimen.
Yes, here
It's
we are. Here we are.
right. So
Nonstop.
so yeah. So that's exactly what we did. And when we sent the dailies over, and then the GM at All Black, Brett Dismute, he was like, you know what? He was like, I like this. And he was like, I really like Brittany Hall. He was like, man, I've been wanting to work with her. I was like, ha ha. We knew that. We knew you liked Brittany Hall, and we knew you would get hooked on these dailies. So, as we were getting closer to the final edit, we end up getting a contract before we can even finish editing the movie. And then before you knew it, we had to really put all the deliverables in place, make sure again that, your paperwork is there and you're not skipping over anything.
That's pretty cool. That's a good story. And All Black doesn't play with their deliverables. We had a project through All Black, and
Listen,
the deliverable list is crazy.
what? Listen, you're going to be up overnights, overnights, losing
Any
sleep on deliverables.
that Anybody that's tuning in, we have a little bit of time left. So if y'all have any questions, just chime in. Let's talk about your like the education that you have, and kind of walk us through how people can work with you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, I am an author. I do have 2 books that are out and have been released. I'm working on my 3rd book. The first one is To Pitch or Not to Pitch. And, it's all about pitching. And the second one released is called Give Me the Green Light. So I think, I do my best to create topics and real information for people that is from experience, and also too of what's really happening. So again,
Mhm.
if you tell me your experience, Reggie, of what's going on with you, I'm going to make sure that that is well kept and is preserved. But also, what is the solution?
Right.
How are we going to get down to the solution? Right.
Yes.
So
Hmm.
this green light one-on-one private session is when filmmakers, whether they're veterans or novice, I have people who are book authors and they're going into adaptation. They got all this great publishings that are out as far as their books, but now it's time for them. They're ready to make a move into going into visuals, and of course putting up a movie, or creating a television series based on their book series. So it's a diversity there. Some are interested in documentaries, and it doesn't matter. I've just worked in the sport of all of it, so it's all pretty much the same. It is what's going to make the engine run and those things to look out for. But with the one-on-one sessions, I have it designed to cater directly to you. So whatever you're coming with, that's what we're going to hone in on. If you say, hey, Ty, I got my first project. I want to shoot the pilot. Okay. So now I'm going to take you from step 1 to step 100 of shooting that pilot. And you're going to master that, and you're going to accomplish what you set out to do.
Perfect. I was trying to see if I had any questions about that. Um, how does the like creating your package? Because you have the 101. You help them actually put their whole package together, so they can be ready to go out and talk to the streamers.
Yeah, absolutely. So I physically don't do it myself, but I'm giving them all the
Okay,
tools. I'm
gotcha.
making sure,
Hmm.
and if you feel like, hey, well, I need somebody, then I got a listing of referrals. If you're saying, hey, I feel like I'm okay and I can handle this myself, well, let's look at the programs that you're using, and then we can even go through those steps of the program so that way you can nail it. I have, clients right now that they're just they've taken classes before, master classes, they're in programs, but sometimes you could just forget, or you might just be at the course of, hey, I got this meeting coming up, and you almost kind of turn panic, and you're just like, wait a minute, wait
Right.
a minute, wait a minute, I got to get myself together. If it's 3 weeks ahead, or if it's 3 days ahead, it doesn't matter. So I just meet you where you are, and putting those packages together. It could be for an investor, because I know what an investor likes to see and what they want. And a lot of times these investors, they're not even a part of the industry. Some of them they could be surgeons, they could be real estate owners, they could be a part of some sort of organization, and they're just really trying to, find a new interest for themselves. It could be a diversity of things. And again, packaging is just something that you just get really good at over time.
If a producer or a filmmaker, if they already have, like, say it's a finished product, do you recommend them reaching out to you if they don't know what to do? They already have the film produced and everything. Do you how does that work? How do you want them to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? I'm accessible. You can reach me through the website, which is tyjohnston.tv, and I'm active on all of my social. And I have the same handle across the board, which is Ty Johnston TV. Don't forget the T.
Right.
So that's with Instagram, that's with Facebook, and that's with LinkedIn. And I'm on X as well.
Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Do you have what's the next project? What are you currently getting ready to work on, for 2025?
Well, I have a slate of projects that I'm working on. I'm actually in the middle of a project right now, working with a novice author, and they have a book series that is out. And so for them, they're taking excerpts from one of their books, and it's kind of like male voices that are, making sure that you're sharing the right information between generations, how to help your nephew if you're an uncle, one of those. And so it's great. It's lessons that are being taught there. And so he just had this great idea that he just he didn't know what to do with it. He was like, I got excerpts. What do I do with excerpts? And I'm like, shh, I don't know. We got to do with excerpts. We're gonna make it an anthology. That's what we're
Right,
gonna do.
right. Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
we're gonna make it. An anthology is gonna be a mini series, and you're gonna do it. And so that's what we're doing. And we shot two right before we ended the holiday. So we shot episode one a few days before Christmas. We came back after Christmas, shot episode two, and so now I'm working on talent right now, and we should be shooting within the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
Episode
Congrats
three.
on that.
So it is, yeah,
Wow.
three-part series. So it's
That's
fun. It's fun. Working with still to me, working with people that have never done this before, they find so much in it that is just making them live for something, having that passion. And for me, I always get something out of it.
that's cool. Where's this? Can you say yet where it's going to be at, the anthology, where the series is going to be at?
Um, I don't know just yet. You know, we are curving it that it has some really good talent that's in there. And, you know, when you have a series, you don't always have to have like all these big names, you know, in there, because, you know, it's a great camaraderie of cast. So it's like if everybody's good, then it's great, you know, kind of like the Love Boat. I'm always taking it back
Right.
in the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll be looking out for that. Okay, so we're here at the end of the hour. Is there anything else we need to touch on before we close out?
Hey, I'll just say this. You guys, don't wait. Don't wait. Execute what you can do. You know, get with people, surround yourself around people who want to do what you're looking to do. Don't force anybody, because that's not really your people. You know, find your tribe.
Ty, thank you for your time. You're the real deal. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for sharing your resources as well, and kind of giving back and educating everybody, because that's super important. So thank you for your time today, Ty.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right. And we'll catch up with you later. Hey, have a good evening. Thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll catch y'all next time. Take care.
See ya.